Welcome to Spelling Netcast for this week. Make sure that you have your scissors. Make sure you have your glue stick, the glue on the top title, your pencil for writing, spelling bag for putting your cut words in. Make sure that you cut them all out and sort them. Make sure you have your spelling book and, of course, oops, wrong words. Your spelling words. All right, so let's get to cutting out our words. So it looks like we got quite the title going on today. Looks like we got quite a few Greek and Latin elements, amounts. So we're going to be talking sizes, I guess, or something like that. So, as we go through these today, you've got a few to write down. Please make sure that you're cutting your words out, and you get them, you can either cut them before, or you can cut them the same time I do. Remember, I like to cut off this top right here, so that we can write it across the page, and then cut these into 3 different pieces. So let's look at the different kinds of words that we're actually going to be using today. Well, it looks like we're doing Magni, and I think you've heard some of the words, or at least pieces of words, from these elements: min, poly, equi, and omni. All right, kind of cool. So let's get this. Let me get your words, make sure that they're spread out all around your book. That way we've got them so you can see them. And as I say the word, make sure that you have it so that you can say it and put it up on the book like I do. That makes it a lot easier for you and for me. Well, it won't make it as long for you as we're doing our words, if you know what I mean. But let's see what we got here. It looks like we're doing Greek and Latin elements, amounts, Magni, min, poly, equi, and omni. Looks like it's going to be pretty long today. So I'm actually going to cut off these ends, make sure it's going to fit in my book before I actually glue this on. And I like to glue it on because that way it's one less thing I have to write. But, all right, let's get that on there. And then we're going to write these out. Now, remember, I like to have a couple lines above it because that way you are going to have to write out what the meaning is of these elements. So, let's move it down and leave a little bit of space. And let's write Magni and underline it. Notice how I got that on the line. Min, underline. Poly, underline. Equi, underline, and omni. Now, let's decide, or well, not decide, but let's actually discuss what each one of these words mean. And so there's some interesting ones in here, and I think we're going to find out quite a few things, because as I have gone through this lesson, I learned quite a bit about these things. So let's start out with Magni. And the one I want to start out with is magnificent. So let's write that out. Magnificent. Say it, and then write it and underline it. Magnificent. So let's look at this. Magnificent. Magni. Oops, it's Magni. When you what does that sound like? Magni. To me, it kind of sounds like magnify, which makes things look bigger, but it's actually not what magni means. So let's look at F-I-C, because that's kind of a form of a Latin root F-A-C, which is to make. And if we're going to make something, what are we going to make it? Are we going to make it bigger? No, we're going to make it great. So when you are magnificent, you are making something great. Isn't that great? Isn't that magnificent? I love that. So there's only a couple of those words, so I think we're going to move on to poly. We'll come back to min. Okay, but we're going to go to poly. Because poly is another interesting word. And let's pull out this one. Polysyllabic. Polysyllabic. Poly. Syllabic. What does that sound like? Sounds like syllables, of course. So when it's polysyllabic, it has something to do with syllables in a word. So let's see how many syllables are in this one. Pa, that's 1. Li, 2. Si, 3. La, 4. Bic, 5. That is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 syllable word. Polysyllabic. So poly must mean something like much. Much or many. Many syllables. Many syllables. So a word that is polysyllabic is a word that has many syllables to it. Cool. So let's look at another poly word. Let's look at polygon. Polygon. Let's write it. Now we've used this word in math. What's a polygon? A polygon is a shape, and gon, G-O-N, actually means angle. So a polygon has many angles. Cool. So a polygon has many angles. All right, now let's get to another word. Polyglot. So we know that polyglot, that poly means many or much. So what does glot mean? G-L-O-T. G-L-O-T actually in Greek actually means tongue or language. Polyglot actually means many tongues or many languages. So if you are polyglot, you speak many languages. That's kind of cool, isn't it? All right. So let's get to equi. And you kind of know, I think you know what equi means, because we use that a lot in math also. So let's get to this one. Unequal. So let's go equi, underline that. Un means not. Equal means same. Exactly. It actually means equal or same. Okay? So if it's unequal, that means it's not the same. It's not equal. All right? So let's get to another one. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to find one that's kind of like equal. Let's find equation. Equation. E-Q-U-A-T-I-O-N. And shun means the act of, right? Isn't that what that means? Shun. Shun. Right? Forms, noun, conditions, something like that. All right. So equating, the act of equating or making the same. So an equation would be the same on both sides. So if I put under here 2 plus 2 equals 4, this equal sign, this whole thing is an equation. The equal sign means it's the same on both sides. So if I have 2 dots here, that's going to be the same as saying I've got 4 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side. So an equation means it's got the same on both sides. Sweet. Make sure you have that written down. I think that's a good lesson right there. And I think we're going to do one more, and this one's the interesting word. Equanimity. Equanimity. There it is. Equanimity. Oop, I forgot to underline that up here, didn't I? Equanimity. Equa. Animal. Interesting. Animal. Equa means the same. Animity actually means, in Latin, it comes from animus, which means mind, but anima means life. So animal means living. So an animal is living. Life, equal life, equal tempered, even. It's equal life. So it's equal life. The same lives. So equanimity means it's the same. It's an even tempered, or it's a calm person because they have an equal temper or an equal mind, an equal life, a soul or whatever. So isn't that interesting? Equanimity. Did you know that animal meant life? That's interesting also. Let's go to Omni, and let's talk about an omnivore. Now, you know what a carnivore is, right? A carnivore is one that eats meat. An herbivore means it eats plants. So omni means both? No, it means all. It eats everything. We are omnivores. We don't actually eat everything, but we eat herbs or plants and animals. Okay? That's what omnivores do. So that means all eating, I guess, vor. You may have to look up vor. Let me know what that means. Okay? And let's do one more. Omniscient. And oops, I forgot my N in there. Omniscient. This looks like science. And I don't know if you know what science means, but in Latin, science means to know. To know. So omniscient means knowing all. So if you're omniscient, that means you know all. You are all knowing. Nicely done. Let's do min really quick, because I think you're going to know what min means. Let's go to minute. Minute is the smallest. We're going to do small. That was a weird M. We're going to do small. That's the smallest amount of time. I know seconds are small also, but it's a lesser time. So interesting on some of these things that we've learned today. I hope you look at these, and as you're saying the words, try to figure out what they actually mean. So now what your job is, what your work is, what your learning is I want you to take the rest of all these words around here, and I want you to write them underneath, but I want you to say them and say great what, small what, many what, same or equal what, all what. Try to figure out what these words mean. You may have to look up a couple of these root words or something like that with it. I think it'd be interesting for you to find out. All right, so make sure you write everything out, get it done, underline everything, and we'll see you later.